Place your bets as we got a full deck on hand from NXT looking to stand and deliver this weekend from Las Vegas as the WrestleMania week-long watch-along schedule continues. And this is NXT. Welcome to the discussion. Let's stand and deliver. Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to Cinema Predicting, our continued run of these shows brought to us by the WWE. The last Cinema Predicting for this week, Jackpot 777, call it what you will. I am, of course, the Simple Man of the Simple Brand, forever grateful for all things professional wrestling. Damn it. Welcome back, King, by the way. My name is Noel Foster. With me is the man of this brand. This is his brand, representing his university for a very particular reason. It's the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Woods. And thank you all for tuning in, whether live or on demand. Please subscribe, comment, tell a friend. And again, if you want to dictate the conversation, super chat or PayPal the passion. It is as simple as that. Before we get into things, JJ, here we go again, bruv. The first of our trifecta of madness from WWE when it comes to the grandest stage of them all and the grandest show they can present. How you feel about your NXT about to stand and deliver once again?
First and foremost, Noah, welcome. How are you doing this fine Thursday afternoon? I am excited. You know, Jeff is very fond of saying that WrestleMania week, WrestleMania weekend is like a second Christmas for a wrestling fan.
Amen.
If that's the case, this is my main event. This is my Santa gift. You know, WrestleMania week, the Cena, Cody, Punk in his triple threat, those are all great presents to open and receive on the Lord's birthday, the great holiday.
Right?
NXT being my brand, this is my Santa gift. This is that one big gift that is just the ultimate icing on the cake for me, because how much I believe in this NXT, how much I have always believed in this NXT. The fact that you now have come around and believe in my NXT, while it still may not be on the level of your black and gold, at least you will sit here now and say, I believe in your NXT.
Yep.
And that means a lot. So I am looking forward to these young men and women coming up, showing out, putting on the performance of their careers, making WrestleMania moments, which is what this weekend is all about, and doing exactly what the title of this PLE says, and that's standing and delivering. And I do not see a single match on this card that will not deliver.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We got, of course, 6 matches on tap and also have a kickoff show match. And, of course, this kicks things off for the big 3 of WrestleMania weekend. As, of course, you talked about, not only are we doing this in the afternoon with City Predicting, you and Walter will be calling this. First time you two are calling the biggest show in y'all's brand. Have an incredible time. I know you both will stand and deliver on that as well. Of course, you guys will be calling that literally the start of Saturday afternoon. Prior to that, with the kickoff, is some pre-show hype, too. And, again, folks, your opinions, predictions matter, too, as we represent the NXT team of No DQ. And I know it's not just us. I see the Cleveland Con Andrew, the current No DQ review moderator, keep giving us prime cuts, of course. See you soon, brother. You and I have got to talk again on one of these prediction shows, but I'll see you on the review down the line. Of course, I know that Big Baller Big G represents this NXT. We talked about Walter Cruz, who's right now getting his back rearranged. All the best to the most reliable man here. And
speak of the devil.
Man. He appears. I got Avatar Man here. Well, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Walter.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah,
we can.
All right. So I'll just keep Avatar Man with the Bluetooth then.
All
Sounds
right,
good.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm going to put you two at the top because you two are literally the commentary team. So, Walter, it's great to have you here. Why don't you go ahead and give your initial impressions of what you think about this weekend? You and JJ are about to stand and deliver with your NXT. How you feeling?
I stand up and NXT will deliver. That's how this is going to be. This is our NXT. Damn it. This is my weekend of the show. WrestleMania, love it, be damned, but NXT is my shit. Like, that's what I'm looking forward to this weekend.
I mean, I've literally said verbatim in the past, so NXT has been my brand of WWE for life outside of the moments that I thought I lost it. And again, my NXT belts, you see, have come to light because I believe, again, those letters. So I do think that we are going to be very pleasantly surprised by this show versus the 2 nights of WrestleMania their own way. So I think without further ado, City Predicting Reds community, get your predictions in. You'll find the link to the form in the description down below. I'll also put it in the comments once the stream concludes too. Gentlemen, City Predicting community, female, male, professional wrestling fans and friends, casual, hardcores, and of course the NXT universe who stand and deliver here too. Let's get right into it. So again, folks, this is WrestleMania weekend, and this is NXT's magnum opus. This is NXT Stand and Deliver. It, of course, will be coming us on the Peacock, and it has, of course, a special afternoon start time. Good luck to you out there on the Pacific Coast. God bless you.
I was going to say, it starts at 9 a.m. for us here with the kickoff show. So
exactly.
That's an 8:30 a.m. start time for me, God damn it. At least y'all don't got to come into the studio till 11:30.
This is why I took the entire day of Saturday off.
Right?
To your wise gentlemen right there. And of course, yes, this show's kickoff, official kickoff on the Peacock starts at noon Eastern Standard Time, with the actual show starting 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So stay tuned to these men that are going to give you everything on the call. And believe it or not, what? But though NXT actually does this, and that's probably another reason why I like NXT, there actually is a kickoff match with championship implications. So let's go ahead and start talking about that. Here we have a fatal 4-way #1 contendership tag match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. And of course, as we know, the winner of this match will face either Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, or possibly Bayley and Lyra Valkyria at a later date, depending on what happens at WrestleMania. Your contenders are as follows. You have, of course, Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade, also known as the daughters of CM Punk. The Metaphor, I hate that thing, Last Legend, Jakara Jackson. The most freakiest of tag teams in Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley, looking to play with everybody. And of course, Fatal Influence, represented by Jessie Jane, the former NXT North American Women's Champion, Fallon Henley. Okay, so as we always go here at City Predicting, everybody will give their thoughts here with NXT, because NXT should stand deliver, and I think it's simple for us to do that. Plus, there's only 3 of us. So again, keep in mind, this is elimination. The last team standing will be #1 contender. It is not first pinfall or submission. So let's go around the horn and see what you think. And we're just going to go literally the same way each time, starting clockwise. We're going to start with Walter here. Walter, who you got winning this fatal 4-way #1 contendership tag team match?
Double Beauty, because I refuse to call them Metaphor, because they're not really part of that group anymore. But they stand alone now. Stand and deliver. They're gonna deliver this a great match. I'm gonna go with them. Simply, I was thinking about going with Roxanne, but I feel like that team isn't gonna get along. Like she said, it's strong enough to apologize. I feel like Roxanne's gonna main roster debut the either Raw or SmackDown after Mania. So I feel like this is her swan song in NXT. And we've been saying that for a while for Roxanne, but I feel like they're finally going to pull the trigger on that. Because she's been shown on the main roster quite a few times, and so has these two. So I feel like it's finally these two to get that title match, and they're going to stay on the main roster as well. And hopefully they're on SmackDown, but both shows need real women tag teams. And I feel like they can get the boost that the main roster needs. Like, start pulling these real tag teams that you have in NXT, show them on the main roster, and treat the tag division as you should. Damn it!
Well, we talked about where's the tag team division. Oh yeah, in NXT. So well said, Walter. All right, so Walter's going with Lashley and Jakara Jackson. Before I give it to the man of the brand, his brand, Regular Jaden Williams, let me go ahead and acknowledge the 21 of you so far that have your put in your predictions for the NXT League, whether you're first time or continuous. This is show 2 in this year's league. Shout outs include but not limited to Shiana Chanel, Con, Andrew in the chat, Adrian. We, of course, have Kaz from Team No DQ. I told about Big G. He's in there as well. So is Matthew. Also, Walter, I see yours. Shout out to Kimberly, Canadian Royalty, as well as others. So, again, folks, get your predictions in if you haven't already. Oh, hello, Steve-O, Sean Garner, and, of course, the biggest who will literally be there this entire WrestleMania weekend, taking it at all. Okay, so JJ, that being said, Walter has opened the bid for Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend. You have been high on Lash Legend when it comes to her potential after we've seen her at Deadline. Plus, we also saw her show out at the Royal Rumble for a little bit. And Jakara Jackson, yeah, she might be a bit more of the in-ring savvy. We've also seen these two cross the line in the TNA. Let's not forget, they've also had their rise in the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championships. But what do you say? Do you agree with your compadre, or do you have a different team in mind?
You know, when I first saw this announcement before Cora and Roxy got added to this, my initial thought was right out the gate, Lash and Jakara, go with the Meta Girls. And that's what I choose to call them since they no longer are 4 Meta 4. They've kind of just been the Meta Girls. And I feel like that's got a little bit of a better ring to it.
I'll give you that.
They still have the music, the presentation, the metaphor. They still say they're representing metaphor, but when promos are cut and whatnot, they sometimes just use the Meta Girls. And I just kind of like that. But I digress on that. That's semantics. Also, the title match is going to be on NXT Tuesday, the NXT After Mania from the Fontaine Blue. Whoever wins this match will get their opportunity.
Wow.
But I eliminate Tatum and Gigi. I eliminate JC and Fallon. Just because of the fact that Tatum and Gigi are still kind of like a half concocted team. Like, we don't really have anything to do with these two, so let's throw them together, make them do something. JC and Fallon are a little bit more of a team in the fact that they represent the stable of Fatal Influence, but they're also not really the team. It's been JC and Jasmine because Fallon was North American champion defending her title.
Correct.
So, not really sure what kind of chemistry JC and Fallon are going to have because Fallon has been very determined to get her title back, and she's not even in the ladder match.
Nope.
So, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some miscommunications. So, for me, it comes down to the team of Roxanne and Cora or Lash and Jakara. 3 of the 4 women have dabbled on the main roster. 3 of the 4 women have crossed the line. One of them has been featured on 2 consecutive PLEs this year. So, could the winner of this match be the team to become champions on Tuesday, and that's your gateway to moving them up to the main roster? That's what I'm looking at as a possibility. That way you don't even got to worry about drafting them officially because they're the women's champions. Champions can move brands. And once they lose the titles, they can just stay on whatever show they lose the belts to. That way they're already in the hunt for title rematches and whatnot. Now, Cora has been seriously injury prone. And as was pointed out by Walter, Roxanne has been ready to move up to the company for well over a year. Roxanne was supposed to get called up last year before Cora got injured. Roxanne turned heel, took the Cora Jade push that Cora was supposed to get. We've covered this ad nauseum.
Yep.
Do they have faith in Cora Jade to move her to the main roster, despite the fact that she spent the better time of a year, maybe a year and a half, on the shelf here in the last couple of years and not get injured again? Because of that, I'm going to go with the Meta Girls here. That way, Roxanne can still get drafted. Cora can remain in NXT. And the Meta Girls can move up to the main roster as a result of winning the titles on Tuesday. Because while I do think Liv and Raquel are going to retain on Sunday, the fact that Liv and Raquel are notorious for having short title runs leads me to believe they will be losing them sooner rather than later. And I think Liv and Raquel are the type of heels that are cocky and arrogant enough to take the Meta Girls lightly, and the Meta Girls will use that to their advantage. So give me Lash and Jakara here. Something else to watch out for is the countdown to Unbreakable tonight as Jakara Jackson goes toe-to-toe with Dani Luna. Cora Jade has been dabbling around Impact as well. Does she do something that could possibly factor into this match a couple days later? Granted, that was taped already, not live, but WWE is very good at using the TNA tapings to help further their agendas, and TNA has been using that to their benefit to move their agendas along as well. Something to keep a lookout for tonight on the Countdown to Unbreakable on Impact, which Walter and I will be covering ahead of you taking it over. Shameless plug.
Yeah. All right. Very good stuff. Well, I was thinking about this too, and I keep juggling back and forth because, again, implications of WrestleMania, I think, implies how much teams going to face them. And in this blurred world of baby faces, heels, who you boo, who you cheer, in NXT versus WWE, which I still think very much is a thing nowadays because it's a different audience and a different attitude. It's almost like a heel dynamic versus a heel dynamic could work when you're representing your brand. Despite the fact that WWE Women's Tag Team Championship is supposed to be about all three brands, even though only one brand actually has a division. What? So the thing I see here is if Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez wins, then I definitely see them facing the likes of Lash and Jakara Jackson. Plus, Lash Legend, Raquel Rodriguez, that's a standoff of two massive heavyweight women right there that are going to slug it out. Then you got Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade that are no strangers to the tag team gold, despite what happened in that bygone era. But again, they also might be the most familiar when it comes to their chemistry, friends, allies, or not. And while they were at it last minute, as we saw this past NXT when it went to Ava Rain's office, do you have a partner? It could be one of those things where their drive for gold might lead past the ambition to go their separate ways, because I do think both want to stand out on their own. But maybe this is a nice way for them to once again try and get some power back in WWE. When you look at Fiddle Influence with Jessie Jane, Jasmine Nix, and Fallon Henry, I do think Fallon is above the tag team scene. She held up quite a course during her run as the NXT Women's North American Champion. Jasmine Nix is still very young, but we've seen her progression here as she continues to evolve. And Jessie Jane, she's one of the most notorious tag team champions in NXT history, let's forget, with Toxic Attraction. Then you got Tina Paxley and G.D. Dolan, where that might be literally the wild card, and we are in Las Vegas. And they could surprise us here. Tina Paxley, like you said, crossed the line, previously challenged for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. Roxanne Perez hasn't crossed the line. We saw Cora Jade challenge at Sacrifice. We just saw Fiddle Influence, of course, and that's what led to this unique mixed tag that we're going to have tonight at Unbreakable. And then you got Lash Jakara Jackson, who's been feuding as of late with Spitfire because they also have their rise in the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championships. And I feel like if the Meta Girls don't win here, they're going to be challenging those TNA Knockout Tag titles sooner rather than later. But you only can pick one winner. So I think just because right now, looking at who I think is going to win at WrestleMania and what I thought was going to stand and deliver, you remember when I said how predictions are subject to change and also how I was unsure on a couple of things? I understand what you said about Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, but Bayley and Roxanne have unfinished business with each other across both those PLEs you mentioned. Thinking about that idea in line, I actually have Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade going over here to further that storyline and suspend the idea of Bayley going heel, because right now, I don't think Bayley going heel is the way to go for Bayley's character or for the WWE. I think a way to preserve that is to give Bayley and Lyra particularly the moment, and more than so, Lyra deserves it. So I'm actually going with Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade for the win here in the end, and I think they're going to challenge Bayley and Lyra this Tuesday. Now, whether or not they win, I'll leave that up to suspension of disbelief when I might talk to you all after WrestleMania if my prediction comes right. But I'm officially going with Roxanne and Cora Jade. And it looks like right now, according to 22 of the vote here, that's actually the majority. 45% are going with Roxanne and Cora Jade, while 36% are going with y'all's pick of Lash Legend and the Meta Girls. 13% for Tam Pastor Gigi Dolan, and one person so far has picked Fatal Influence. But I just think right now, Cora Jade is better protected, to your point about injury proneness, if she's more in the tag team scene than the singles scene. She hung strong with Masha, but still, I think Roxanne has proven her durability. Again, last year, she stood and delivered and beat Lyra Valkyria for the NXT Women's Championship, lest we forget. So imagine Lyra getting that receipt back this past Tuesday. There's a lot of long-term story going on here that could really come forward if it's Roxanne and Cora Jade versus Bayley and Lyra. So with that, I'm going with Cora and Roxanne.
That's fair. And I mean, to your point, there's a lot of long-term story, and WrestleMania week is about moments.
Ding, ding.
You've got both members of Toxic Attraction in this match, and Mandy Rose is going to be at WrestleCon.
Boom.
Just throwing that out there.
I'd be interested to see her in the audience watching on, by the way, Mandy Sachs.
It would be interesting to see a reunion out of nowhere. Let's not forget it was Stand and Deliver a couple years ago where the Way reunited after Indy Hartwell became champion.
That's a good point, too. I didn't think about that. You're absolutely right. And, of course, Gigi Dolan was previously part of that attraction before her and Jessie Jane had that fallout. And here we are with Gigi and Jessie in the same match on opposite teams. All right. Well, that being said, good stuff so far. Again, folks, let your predictions be known as we go now into the main show, which, again, I think is absolutely going to stand and deliver. Speaking of absolute, as we continue our way through, Jada, you start this one off. Pose if you wish. We have Rika Sainz defending the NXT North American Championship against Eagle Ethan Page. Of course, Ethan Page won this opportunity in multi-person matters. Fatal four-way number one contendership match, and Ricky Sainz dropped him finally after a twisted grin literally 2 weeks ago after Ricky Sainz was confronted by the likes of Wesley, Ethan Page, and Lexis King. Oh my, good grief, these names. I don't know how they rhyme. Well, we finally got a one-on-one match here, but let's keep in mind, talking about, once again, NXT NA. I feel like that's going to be a lot of conversation here, we're being honest here, JJ. All Ego Ethan Page will be challenging for the TNA World Championship at Rebellion 1 week later. So that being said, and Ricky Sainz just winning this title. JD, what do you got to say regarding this match? Who you got leaving with the gold?
I like Ethan. I really do. But you don't give the belt to Ricky literally like 2 weeks ago and then have him lose it at Stand and Deliver. I still personally think that this should have been Shawn Spears versus Ricky Sainz.
Same.
And Ricky should have had his big crowning moment here.
Same.
Because if WWE is as petty as everybody wants to believe that they are, two former AEW guys, one the champion, the other one getting the push and the respect and the championship victory that he should have gotten over there, is a huge fuck you to Tony Khan. Granted, we still have two AEW guys, one a champion going into this match. However, Ethan Page has already been NXT champion. Yep. He doesn't need the North American title.
No.
Especially since, to your point, he's on the hunt for the TNA title at Rebellion next week. I don't know what Frankie Kazarian has on his schedule this week, but I do know that Joe Hendry is going to be at WrestleCon and WWE The World. Could he interject in this match? Could Frankie interject in this match?
Oh, that's a good point. We've seen them beefing on TNA.
Mm-hmm. But regardless, There is only one North American champion, and he is absolute.
All right, so we got Ricky Saints. And believe it or not, Walter, it's unanimous. There is no vote against Ricky Saints not holding on to the championship. All 22 people so far have said yes. So do you agree? And there's anything further that you want to add regarding this? Again, cause and effect. Could Kazarian, who will be in National Night Unbreakable alongside Tessa Blanchard, Diamante, against Joe Hamilton and Macho Slammers, a mixed tag team match ahead of Rebellion next week, where, of course, both champions will defend their titles against both those opponents, prospectively. Could Kazarian show up here and stick it to All Ego Evan Page?
He could. It's obviously going to be Ricky Saints. What's the point of giving him the belt to make him lose it again here? I honestly think it wouldn't surprise me if the match is a double count out or something crazy where they keep brawling all over the ring and it gets thrown out, because that way Ethan Page still looks strong heading into his title shot in Rebellion because of the NXT TNA relationship. They don't want him to look weak, and they don't want Ricky to look weak. I think they kind of booked themselves into a corner. JJ's right. They should have been Sean Spears, because they booked themselves into the corner now, and they got to find a way out. So I won't be surprised if it's a no contest in the end. But the pick is still Ricky Saints walks out with the title still.
Yeah, legitimately, as soon as Ricky Saints was confronted by Sean Spears, I thought this was going to be the stand delivery after Ricky Saints was going to win the North American Championship, and it looked like they just hot-shot it. But why? I don't understand Shawn Michaels' logic behind this. But he's not made many decisions that maybe go, but this right here is the most why I've seen in a long time from this NXT is the term black and gold, and I believed in the brand again. But either way, yeah, Ricky Saints, and to be fair to Walter's point, yeah, I can see the disqualification. Kazarian might literally come in here and bombard this, because I'm sure Kazarian has no love lost when it comes up to breaker stocks, of course, in AEW. To your point, another guy previously involved in AEW. So I sense this literally just being freaking thrown out, and either way, Ricky Saints leads with the gold. Ricky Saints ain't losing that title.
Nope.
Biggest nope in the Eagles prediction this weekend, and that's saying something considering everything else. Daggone it. Okay, well, from the simplest match to something that might be just as simple, but then again, you know what happens when you mess with the family. Until the lights go out. Let's go ahead and talk about this, shall we, as we have Dark State taking on the D'Angelo family in six-man tag team action. Since Dark State came to light and has literally caused a riot every chance that they can, Dark State has been unstoppable. This four-men, some retribution type of faction who's already taken out the likes of course, our main event competitors, particularly Javon Evans, who was left laid out last week on NXT in the main event. Now they've targeted the D'Angelo family, who's been pretty much trying to get themselves back together since Sean Spears' family, the Calling, came together and cost pretty much them everything, including the NXT North American Championship. It almost feels like, again, this feels like a sacrificial lamb towards something bigger. But in Tony D'Angelo's defense, he was here last year challenging for the NXT Championship against Ilya Dragunov. I guess it's on me to start this off, and while I don't know much about Dark State at this point and their MO, I do think something about them is going to come to light, and I also think they're not going to be alone. I don't think there's only four people. I'm just saying. Keeping it simple here, though, because, again, it's just a straightforward six-man tag. They're not even giving it a gimmick like Cincinnati Street Fight with Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest, and that's saying something considering these guys have bombarded everything in NXT, including Reigns' office. I'm going with Dark State here right now, because it just feels like there is something bigger here than just targeting random people here in NXT, including a 40. I'm going with Dark State. Let's go ahead this time counterclockwise. JJ, what you got to say regarding this six-man tag? We weren't sure what to make of Dark State at first when they first showed up, I believe back at Vengeance Day. But since Roadblock and since NXT and targeting the likes of the NXT champion and the number one contenders, and then segueing now to the D'Angelo family, which is really weird in my opinion, they definitely have gone after some big names, though, here and have made quite an impression. And now they're looking to stand and deliver in the darkest way possible at the expense of the D'Angelo family. So what do you think comes from this?
Well, I think the reason there's not a stipulation on this match is because it's being held outside the Performance Center. If it was at the Performance Center, it would be a parking lot brawl because we all know the parking lot of the Performance Center is the most dangerous venue in WWE history.
That's
but
fair.
I digress.
That's fair. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. That's fair. I didn't think about that, but that's probably a wise move. Please continue.
I mean, at the end of the day, how do you not go for retribution here? I mean, the dark stage. It's kind of a similar thing to what we just were talking about with Ricky Saints. They're brand new. If you have them lose on this stage, what was the point? They are still in their infancy when it comes to the big reveal. What's their motive? What's their mission? Still very, very young in that process. And to your point, I do believe somebody else is going to be revealed as a member. Possibly more than one person will be revealed as a member over the course of the show. I definitely think the leader, the puppet master, if you will, is going to be revealed. And we'll talk about that when we get to the main event. But let's not undersell the fact that Stax and Tony have been having a lot of issues lately. And could Stax, the underboss, be making a move for whoever the leader of this group is? And could Stax have been the guy that kind of helped to bring these people together? Because he wants to prove to Tony that he can do things on his own. He doesn't need to be in Tony's shadow anymore. Luca Crucifino was given the blessing by Tony to run things for the family on Evolve. Tony runs things on NXT. What does Stax run?
Nothing.
Why isn't Stax being given the opportunity to run things on Evolve? To be the Don of Evolve and have Luca the underboss there? Does that present any jealousy to Stax that he's being overlooked by Tony?
Tell us, what is any Mafia, Godfather, or Yakuza movie itself?
Hell, even Rizzo gets a little bit more love from Tony D for obvious reasons. I mean, just look at her.
About to say, that's a whole different.
But she gets a little bit more love from Tony D than Stax does as his loyal underboss. So I would not be surprised to see Stax turn on Tony here. Regardless of if there's a turn or not, I still got Dark State winning.
That's fair. Believe it or not, it's not unanimous with this, Walter. 73% are going with Dark State, while 27% are going with the family. But the fact that you bring up Stax does bring a lot of interesting points, because let's not forget, one point, Stax literally went to justice for the Dawn when he was fighting against Gallus after literally Tony D was under lock and key. Gallus boys on top! Like the part of Evolve. But that being said, that's a whole different conversation. Anyway, Walter, what do you guys say regarding this six-man tag and what could be the crumbling of the Angelo family as we know it? I mean, again, Mafia, Godfather, Sopranos, Goodfellas, Yakuza. I play a lot of Japanese Mafia games as well. Shout out to the Yakuza series by Sega. But what do you guys say regarding this? Because it's not the first time we've seen somebody undermine a crime boss.
JJ and I are always on the same wavelength, and I said I was going to say that about Stax. I was going to bring that up. Stax is separating himself from it. And if I'm a big fan of Sopranos, if you watch Sopranos, Tony is always being challenged by somebody. He was never pictured of actually being head of the family because of the way he became it. And, his brother having dementia and all that, everybody really kept seeing his brother as the boss, and they really kind of undermined Tony. I feel like this within this is happening. And it happens in every movie. The sidekick. Look at Transformers.
That's fair.
You know,
I didn't figure out that.
Megatron always had someone under him, but Starscream always wanted to turn his back on him and be the leader. And he's tried a few times, but Megatron has always stopped him.
Yep.
So I feel like it's going to lead to a Stax versus Tony D rivalry coming up on a big pay-per-view, and you give them a one-on-one. And I feel like you have to go there. And plus, because of what I said a long time ago about Dark State, and it has a lot to do with the main event, you can't let Dark State look weak on this match because of something that we're going to talk about later that I really believe is going to happen. So I got Dark State.
And let's not forget the next NXT PLE is Battleground at the end of May. So what better place for a war between two brothers than at Battleground?
Yeah. It seems like it's right.
They're probably going to invent a new match and just call it the Mafia match, and all it is a no DQ match or a street fight. But they gotta put some little flavor or some Italian season on it and call it the Mafia match or something. I guarantee it.
Only if they bring Big Vito back. Only if they bring Big Vito back for that, because God damn it, he's got to be the official. Or bring Nunzio.
Nunzio, there's the name I was waiting for.
I was going to say Little Guido, but I don't think enough people know Little Guido. I was trying to remember the WWE name.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm about to say. Did call the Vendetta, because the Vendetta should be the end act. That's how you literally off somebody or you whack them, all right?
Damn that.
Here.
The fight is going to take place. They're going to clear all the tables. It's not even in the ring. It's going to be like a cinematic match in that damn restaurant they always fight. It's just going to be taped fist, taped, like no rule, no nothing. It's literally you go until somebody gets knocked the F out and stops the fight. Like, it's going to be those two in an empty restaurant going at it.
Yeah, I could see the segments building up to the match. You know, Stax tries to go to the restaurant, and the maitre d' is like, "You're not welcome here anymore."
Yep. What's this about? I've been part of this family since the day is long. You know me. And then he's literally out there in the rain, and then I can literally see a dark alleyway situation. There's a lot that excites the Italian in me as I played the Mafia series. I can't wait for Mafia Country, by the way.
Somebody's going to end up saying, "This ain't Olive Garden. You ain't family."
Damn. I can see that, honestly. I think
and then Stax fucks some of the free breadsticks at Tony.
That's hard as a rock. He picks the stale one, though. And Adriana just is in shock. Adriana trying to hold off the Don from destroying somebody he wants to look at as a brother. Family ties and values and emotions coming out here. The blood spilled. There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff. The last that needs to be them both in a boat and somebody thrown in the water. But anyway.
Let's not forget how brutal the D'Angelo family versus Legado del Fantasma got in the 2.0 era. I think this is going to be very much along the same, except it's going to be brother versus brother.
It's internal this time. Yeah, I could definitely see that. And they sign it off in blood or something like that after a face-off. I'm very intrigued by this. I'm very intrigued by this.
Since I'm the pun man, they'll probably, stack the deck against them.
God damn it, Walter. Leave the puns alone. We're not talking about Cappuccino Jones anymore. You do not have the right to be punny today.
He don't give a damn. He's going to still do it because that's his stick. Stick to his stick.
Go back and watch that call, Noah, before you do your thing tonight. I want you to watch that main event from last night and listen to all the coffee puns that this fucker did. Cappuccino on the outside waiting for the tag in. Looks like he's frothing at the mouth to get in.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so he got "Damn It, You Freaking Idiot" award. I got it. Okay, moving on, and now I'm really excited. Don't fuck with the family. Anyway, all right, now I'm excited for this. Let's move on. Let's go ahead and talk about the NXT Tag Team Championships. This was not the team legitimately I expected to see on this graphic. I'm just going to say that right now, but hey, we'll see what happens. Fraxium, the most effective tag team in the entire WWE ecosystem. Bite me if you think otherwise. Of course, I'm talking about Nathan Frazier and Axiom defending the NXT Tag Team Champions again, this time against Hank and Tank. You might as well be looking at two people from a football field. What the fuck is this? Anyway, these two, of course, did qualify through a tag team gauntlet, which has been the story of the tag team championships this past week. What the fuck? On NXT. and Tuesday, excuse me, on NXT. I keep forgetting this week's going by faster than I can track. It's freaking Thursday already. What the hell is happening?
Right.
And again, Fraxium, they have been these tag team champions now since last year's No Mercy, and they have been unstoppable against everybody, including the freaking Hardys. So at this point, with the Hardys idea, probably still won the NXT Tag Team Championships. At one point, you saw DIY, who currently are no longer the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, looking at Fraxium here. And we just saw Nathan Frazier take on Rey Fenix in his SmackDown debut. So that's got to be also telling us a lot. Hank and Tank, this is the most oblivious tag team probably in the NXT scene, and this is their first ever Tag Team Championship opportunity. That being said, I started things off here, so I think this time we will go to Walter to kick things off here. Walter, what do you guys say regarding Fraxium run as tag champions here, now on the NXT's grandest stage? Is there a team that can beat them, and is it NXT, and do you think Hank and Tank have a chance? Go ahead.
I do think they have a chance. I so want Hank and Tank to do it so bad. Just that, how can you root against these guys? Like, and they so deserve it because they're those lovable. They can be clubs at some time. Yeah, it's like it's hilarious. But honestly, every time I go against Fraxium, I have to eat freaking crow every time. So
I have it on record, folks. He's done it already 4 times.
Yeah. So I really think Fraxium pulls it off because I honestly think they ain't losing until the Hardys unify the NXT and TNA titles. I said that idea when they first started happening, and they have yet to do the third match. So I feel like that's what's gonna happen. And I just, much like Naomi joining a bloodline, I'm giving up on Fraxium breaking up. Yeah, I don't know how many times we've kept saying they're gonna break up. Like, damn it, I'm just giving up on that.
Fair enough. All right, so JJ, he has Fraxium retaining, and I guess there are a lot of people that like frat brothers drinking toga and crazy men, and I'll give credit's due. They did win, so they actually do have some capability, and they definitely have a chance. It's not like Pro Wrestling Noah, Gamora, and Josh Briggs. I don't think they're going to be as strong as that, because that was tremendous, but I think they have a fighting chance. That being said, Jay, it's on you, and believe it or not, challengers are still in the minority, but it's very partisan. 45% for Hank and Tank, 55% for Fraxium. So what do you say? You've been following this team since their inception in NXT.
Honk, honk. I'm going for Hank and Tank here.
What?
I am. I think there's a greater story going on here that I don't think everybody catches on the surface. Hank and Tank's whole thing here these last few months, ever since the Hardys crossed the line and came back to the WWE, is what does it take to be a great tag team, to be champions? And they've gone up to teams past and present. They've talked to the Dudleys. They've talked to the Hardys. They've talked to the Street Profits. And the most recent advice they got was from the Profits, where Docs and Tez basically told them, just be yourself. Don't try to emulate other people's style. Don't try to copycat other people. Just be true to you. Then you fast forward to this week, and much like Lyra and Bayley did, they were number 1 in the gauntlet, and they won the gauntlet. I think Hank and Tank are going to take this, and then that leads into the match at Mania. Well, we saw Hank and Tank, the first ones to start the gauntlet, won the titles. Can Bayley and Lyra do it too?
I did pick them.
But I did not.
No, you didn't.
I'm almost where Walter is as far as giving up on Fraxium breaking up, but I'm not 100% convinced that WWE is going to allow the Hardys to win the NXT titles and still be TNA champions at the same time, because I think WWE is still skeptical when it comes to Jeff. Jeff has proven whenever the pressure is on him under the big lights of the E, he starts fucking up. And Jeff has been sober and clean to our knowledge, ever since he left WWE the last time and then showed up in AEW, doing his dance coming down the rampway while his brother's getting the shit beat out of him in the ring. Hey, I'm making my debut, but let me dance first.
Here's a feel in the moment, creatures. That's fair.
So
we should have did that 2 hour later.
Yeah, seriously. 2 hours later, still dancing. Matt's still getting his ass beat. 2 hours later, still dancing. Still getting his ass beat.
So much later that Matt Hardy got bludgeoned and the narrator got tired of answering these cards. They had to hire a new one. Hi, Ash.
So,
continue.
But I got Hank and Tank here.
Wow.
You know, you make the point about the frat boys. We've seen a new team sort of emerge on Evolve that challenged Fraxium a couple weeks ago for the tag titles on NXT.
Swipe right.
That are the opposite side of the fraternal structure. Yeah. Swipe right.
What a name.
So you've got the preppy frat boys, and you've got like the John Belushi Animal House frat boys. And I could see something culminating between those teams because Swipe Right is the best thing on Evolve right now. Like them or not, there's a reason why they were featured multiple weeks in a row on NXT proper television. There's a reason they were the main event last night. There's a reason one of them is going to be in the main event on Friday night for the FSW ID tournament. There is something about them. WWE sees something in them, and they are banking on Swipe Right as future superstars. I told Walter, by the end of this year, Swipe Right will be the NXT Tag Team Champions.
Wow, that's a hot take.
Watch them on Evolve, and I think it'll convince you. Again, you may not like them. They're heels. You're not supposed to like them. Walter says they have the most punchable faces in professional wrestling.
Ah!
But there's something about them, their aura, their presentation, the stable that they've concocted with Jackson Drake and the Real Deal Zeta Steel. There is something about them that screams next level superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think Hank and Tank are the team for them to defeat. Because they're those uber sympathetic baby faces.
All right, you might.
Yeah, it's a big middle finger to the fans because we beat your boys. Like I said it too. When I say they have the most punchable faces, I actually mean it in a positive way. Like they play their characters so well. Like,
okay, wow. Talk about you guys resetting the NXT landscape. So it's split. First match here, it's split, just like the poll. It's just, I don't know. Look, I understand we're talking about moments, and yeah, I guess it would be Control-C, Control-V. And again, right now, you and I are opposite on the women's tag team championship match. I bit with Bayley and Lyra. You went with Liv and Raquel. I think, though, still right now, because I look at the tag team landscape, and it feels like Fraxium, there is still more, I think, for them to do. Because, again, they are the team I feel like that's going to literally hand the keys to the next team to lead the division. I don't know if I can think are there yet because, again, it is their first opportunity. It's just one of those things where it's hard to bet against Fraxium more than any other tag team right now in the business, especially with what I've seen. So I think
it may be their first opportunity, but let's not forget they are Reality of Wrestling Tag Team Champions.
That's
Booker
fair too.
T's promotion, which is an ID territory, and Booker T is on commentary.
Yeah, dude,
let's not forget the influence of Booker T and ROW.
Yeah, Mr. Bias himself and the guy that
yeah, man.
Hey, look at them boys go. They freaking barely have a brain. Anyway, I still think that Hank and Tank are going to have a tremendous showing, similar to Josh Briggs and Inamura, who had their first chance to get out as a team at Vengeance Day and was a show stealer, but I just don't see Fraxium losing right now. I mean, the only blemish on their run so far was literally that one little misstep where they failed to beat the Hardys for the TNA Tag Team Championships. But the Hardys, to Walter's point, have not faced them for the NXT Tag Team Championships. They've only gone one time. I do think there is going to be a series of 3, particularly with the Hardys and Fresno, because that's probably the most money they put in right now, because once the Hardys exhaust themselves with the Nemeth brothers, you got to consider that might be what you get at Slammiversary, which, of course, we know. I do think there's going to be some point where they're going to try and unify those titles, because it does feel like TNA and NXT are trying to unify more stuff. But right now, for that to happen, I got to keep it Fraxium. So I'm going to split it here and still stick right now with the champs retaining, and going to keep opposite of you for WrestleMania, opposite here in NXT when it comes to tag title gauntlet winners. I'm going with Fraxium retaining because I think they're still unmatched in NXT. I think there will be an upset, but I don't think it comes at Stand and Deliver with these guys. I don't think they're the wild cards to upset the tag champions. Not yet.
I sit here and I wonder on a consistent basis, like, who is left for Fraxium to face? Because they've literally beaten everybody. And I think it's time to reset the tag division with new champs so that the challengers that have been unsuccessful against Fraxium can get another shot at the new set of champions. And what better stage to do it than at Stand and Deliver?
That's fair. I mean, that's
again,
fair.
It's about WrestleMania moments and the moment of Hank and Tank, the lovable underdogs. It almost would give off the same feeling as Mick Foley winning the championship on that 1999 episode of Raw. The team that you never thought would be able to beat the great and powerful Fraxium, the guy that you never thought would beat The Rock, making themselves champion.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but at one point, we thought a while back that No Quarter Catch Crew should have been the team, and honestly, I'm still holding out for them at this point.
They should. I'm not saying they're going to have a long title reign. I mean, how long were my boys' title reigns? I'm just saying, like, they don't have to have a lengthy run.
Do I have to remind you that your boys were the ones that they beat at No Mercy last year to start this historic run?
No, you don't.
JJ,
I'm still mad about that, and I will start ranting and raving about that when we get to the women's North American title.
Let's not raise his blood pressure, Noah. Please don't raise JJ's blood pressure. But to be fair, this is the match I want to be wrong on because I'm doing reverse psychology. I'm always going against Fraxium and they keep making me eat crow. So I want to pick them this time. And hopefully it continues because I actually want Hank and Tank to win.
Reverse psychology doesn't work in professional wrestling. You know that. So you might as well just take the fact you're going to get the point. Let's go ahead and move on. But to JJ's point, and we're not playing the music, non-copyright, but again, as he's doing, having his deplorable top 10 was just outside our mention. But because he's wearing the shirt and because I don't want to raise his blood pressure, I don't think he's drunk coffee yet, but he's probably as hyped up as his girl back. And apparently, my friends told me she's using Eddie Edwards' old TNA theme? What? Okay, now I almost feel like I have to pick her, but I'm not going to start this off. All right, JJ, time to shine and time for class. It's time to talk about the NXT Women's North American Championship ladder match you called into existence. Let's go, folks. We have a 6-way dance with steel in Las Vegas. Place your bets. It is once again time to crown a brand new NXT Women's North American Champion. Why is this title defined so much by a freaking ladder match? It's beyond my freaking mind comparison. Just saying. We, of course, have everybody that qualified here. We have Zarya, Soruka, Kalani Jordan, the first ever NXT Women's North American Champion, who won it in a ladder match last year at NXT Battleground in the UFC Apex against Soruka, who I believe was literally the last one with her on the ladder. Ain't that something? Izzy Dame, Lola. Go ahead and say it, Walter.
I see that.
There it is. I was waiting for that. I knew he was going to say that.
We also don't know where he is. He may not have been able to get that out without looking like a weirdo.
That's fair. So maybe it's good he's Avatar Man. Lola Vice, and do I even need to say this last person's name, or should I just let JJ do it? JJ, go ahead and say the last person that qualified on the graphic.
Thea Hale.
Yep, HU University alumni is back in NXT with another chance to become a champion for the first time. All right, folks, you know how this goes. Not only do we have a ladder match, we have 6 participants. And you know what that means in predictions. You get 2 picks. Your primary worth 2, your secondary worth 1. Keep in mind, Kalani Jordan literally won the title, set up its history inaugurally in this very stipulation. Soruka and her were literally the last 2 standing, and then her and Soruka had a sleeper match of the year, of course, as we saw at Heatwave. Izzy Dane, with this newfound attitude, part of the calling, now gets her first chance at singles gold. At one point, many people thought that your girl, Thea Hale, was supposed to beat Tiffy Time, and after the towel was thrown in, it didn't happen. And Lola Vice is still the unstoppable striker of the underground. Now Lola Vice has newfound online to become a champion once again, now that Jada Parker is behind her, but we know Jada Parker is someone else on this card. So good luck, JJ. It's on you first to kick things off. Who are your 2 winners to become the next NXT Women's North American Champion since Stephanie Valkyrie vacated the title?
All right, so let me just say here, and I'm going to try not to get too riled up here, but I do have a bit of a rant.
Go for it.
Because somebody pointed this out on social media about a week ago, and it stuck with me. And I didn't think about it until I read it, and then it pissed me the fuck off.
Uh-oh. Oh, dear.
Chase University disbanded. Duke Hudson released. Thea Hale not on television until this past Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
All for a failed Ridge Holland push. What did they gain or succeed by having Ridge Holland beat Andre Chase? Not a fucking thing.
Accurate.
Chase U should still be going strong. But everything crumbled for a push for a man who still hasn't gotten the fuck over. Duke shouldn't have been released. Ridge should have been released.
I agree. Duke Hudson had incredible potential. He proved his worth when he was the MVP of your university, and I think he had a great chance to maybe one day become even a North American champion. Let's not forget, he even got a chance to try and do that till Overfemi destroyed him, but nonetheless, he still hung with the ruler. We'll talk about that later. Now, please breathe. Tranquilo, mi hermano. Let's talk about the present here and what you could get as your ultimate moment this weekend. Go ahead.
When they first announced the qualifying matches for this match, I said Thea Hale needs to come back and be in this match.
And you spoke it into the ether.
They saved her until the last qualifying match. My only issue with the way that they saved her is that they fucking spoiled her return by showing the little lower third coming up next and showing the images of Carmen Petrovich and Thea Hale. They should not have announced who it was. They should have just said, coming up next, the final qualifying match for the Women's North American Ladder match.
As if WWE knows how to do it.
That way, when we come back from commercial and we see Andre Chase talking to the 2 new students of the new and improved Chase U, or what it looks like will become such, and Andre Chase is talking about how he's ruined everybody's life, and you hear the voice, "You didn't ruin mine," and she walks in the shot, then it's an even bigger moment. But just hearing her give him her blessing before going out to the ring, I got emotional, man. I'm not going to lie. You know me and my loyalty to Andre Chase and Chase University.
I'm aware.
Specifically that young lady who I have been the ride or die for since I first saw her.
The first student of Chase University.
And to whomever out there on social media is the man that put the ghost of Duke Hudson with his MVP trophy between Andre and Thea in that segment, bless you. Because that hit me in the feels even harder. You know, the whole suggestion that Duke's presence was there watching over everything. Very well done. But you don't bring Thea back to television. Have her be the last to qualify for this match and have her fucking lose. Thea Hale is my number one.
I literally
That
wrote it
should
down.
come. That should come as no surprise
No.
to anybody.
As soon as I saw that graphic, I was like, if he doesn't pick Thea Hale as number one, I officially believe that he finally believes that Chase University's dead. And boy, did you prove me wrong.
Chase University may be dead in the form that I fell in love with it.
But not your spirit, clearly.
But that doesn't mean that Thea Hale is dead.
As we found out. I still can't believe I saw that, by the way. I was not expecting her to come back.
Now, as far as the number 2 pick, this is where it gets difficult.
Yes.
I don't know how difficult it is for Walter. I don't know how difficult it is for you. But this is where it gets difficult for me. We got 5 women left.
Correct.
No disrespect intended. I'm throwing Kehlani Jordan over the top rope and eliminating her right off the gate. She was the inaugural champion, won it in the stipulation not even a year ago. She doesn't need it. So now we go down to 4 women. Izzy, if the Colleen were challenging for the tag titles, I would pick Izzy to win because I could see them backing the Colleen, putting the tag straps and the North American strap on her to really kind of cement this cult push that Sean Spears is trying to do with them. But Jensen and Nico aren't in the tag title match, so I think Izzy can get eliminated from this as well.
All right.
That leaves me with Sol, Zarya, and Lola. I like Sol. I like Zarya. They're an interesting unit together. They give off friend and maybe more than friend vibes in the way they interact with each other if you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Or you look at the shorts like I have seen on my YouTube feed because I find them quite hilarious. Continue.
But I think that in their own individual quests for gold, they're going to end up getting in each other's way. One of the biggest anchors of this women division for the better part of the last year and a half has been Walter's OM, original Mamacita, Lola Vice. And I hope Lee doesn't kill me for that because we all know she's the original Mamacita. But as far as WWE NXT television, it's been Lola. So I'm going Lola as my second pick.
Okay.
But goddamn, and I told you before we came on the air, if Thea wins, I'm probably going to start sobbing. Fair warning to anyone that tunes in Saturday.
And again, folks, you will find Walter Cruz and JJ doing their first major PLE NXT call alone and together for NXT's grandest stage of Stand Deliver. I will not be part of those festivities, and I couldn't be prouder of these two men for saying their brand, their grandest stage. And good luck to you, and hopefully having the moment of your weekend. That being said, to JJ's point, the last time we saw Thea Hale was literally in championship action. She challenged Roc N Ropes for the NXT Women's Championship back in July. And again, she took the Prodigy for about 11 minutes back at the Great American Bash. And boy, will fireworks go off if Thea Hale wins this ladder match. That being said, JJ has set the bow for primary Thea Hale, secondary Lola Vice. Very interesting. All right, Walter, let's go to you next. What's your thoughts on this NXT Women's North American Championship match? Similar thoughts, slightly different opinion, prediction, picks, especially when it comes to both primary and secondary, especially the secondary. And what do you think about this field? Go ahead. Who you have leading with the gold?
It's funny because Walter and I are on the same wavelength. I wouldn't be surprised if he has the same picks, just flip flopped. But go ahead, Walter.
Nope. Ditto. I have it the same exact way. I have,
In the hell.
because I don't think that WWE sees Lola in the same light that I do. It's just something about that they're not. But she's been the anchor, like you said, but they just seem like they aren't pushing her as strong as I feel like she deserves. But I just like, what's the point of Thea Hell coming back being the last qualifier if she ain't gonna win this? She's definitely winning this. It's all the stars have aligned to make the perfect storm to happen. Everything's falling right into place the way they should be. This is Thea Hell's match to lose. So she had to be my primary. No disrespect to Mamacita and everything, but she had to be my primary pick. Part of me was going to go with Soul as a secondary pick, but I can't do that. I got to stay loyal. So I got it the exact same order that JJ has it.
Something tells me Soul is going to go for a Soul Snatcher off the ladder, and that's going to be what costs her.
She did that at the Apex, to your point, and that literally almost cost her in the end. We have to go back and rewatch that match because that match was also freaking good, and I still think Soruka should have won that. I personally, when I look at the women of NXT, I want Soruka as a singles champion, and I enjoyed her match against Chelsea Green. How dare sorry I take out the stupid Herpes.
Lonnie was the perfect person to make the first one because of her relationship to Mello and how defining of a North American champion he was. Him and her in the history books, but to Walter's point, as far as Lola goes, I think part of the reason they've kept her off TV and haven't been pushing her as much lately is because they wanted when her moment comes for it to be a huge moment. And again, we've talked about moments multiple times in this show, which is why I could see her getting her final crowning moment here at this show, because she's been kind of out of the limelight, out of the spotlight. She's still been on television, unlike Thea, but she's been, walking by in the parking lot, subtly backstage in a shot. She's not been featured, but she's been there kind of lurking.
All right.
I just feel like...
Go ahead.
Yeah. I just feel like, that you're right about that. And I just feel like it's because NXT has the good problem of they just have too much damn talent in the women's division. So some people are going to end up getting called by the wayside. Yeah, they're going to be bumped. And it's, unfortunately for me as a fan, it's people you like, but there's so much goddamn talent in the NXT that it's actually a good damn problem to have, to be honest.
I'm surprised Lola's not fighting at Bloodsport. I'm really surprised.
I mean,
but considering they put her in this match, that's probably why she's not booked for Bloodsport. Yeah. Carmen is booked, which is another reason why she probably jobbed to Thea. So
via submission, by the way, I saw the match. Thea Hill tapped her out, and it is also one of those things, though, where I look at it this way, Walter. At least they're not treating her like Elektra Lopez. What she's been doing? Does she still exist?
No, she got released.
There you go.
Let me ask you, Noah, since you saw the match, what would you call that move that Thea did before locking in the Kimura? That double underhook, and then she flipped it into like a driver. Like, what do you call that?
It's called a double underhook modified toss. I mean, I'm not sure actually, because it's almost like,
because I don't know if she has a name for it, but I want to be able to call it proper if she uses it on.
You need to call it the final exam.
You know what? I like that. I'm gonna do
you know
that.
what? It goes kind of like with the freaking, school thing. I mean, as far as a character name, I think you got your character name, but as far as a wrestling type of, it's almost like a modified takeover into the Kimura setup. But I'm not sure there's an actual name for it. She's got a name for it, but I think you got your own question from a character standpoint. Again, I gotta go read back and because of course, I don't have the CW because fuck television. But again, the NXT Women's Division, they matter to me, damn it. So I watch their matches thanks to WWE matches on YouTube and women's wrestling on YouTube. Go subscribe to those channels today, folks, if you want a cheap way out. But
and don't forget, the CW does have their own free app you can download. Watch NXT the next day in its entirety.
Yeah, and fast forward for the damn commercials, plus the CW on YouTube, because I use Pi. I actually get to watch some of the full matches that are worth a matter to me on their CW YouTube channel. I'm spoiling how much I pirate the internet. I don't give a shit.
Yes,
anyway, just talking about
we do not condone pirating and bootleg, but, sometimes you got to do what's most cost-effective for you.
Yeah, and exactly. And when the tools are right there in front of you, why wouldn't you do something? Download the Pi.
Something!
Download the Pi extension today, folks. It's a great way to skip advertisements. Anyway. Yeah. So let's go ahead, though, and acknowledge, though, how all 6 of these women got here, of course. As, of course, Stephanie Valkyrie vacated this championship, revealed there will be a ladder match, and all these women did qualify. Zarya and Klein Jordan qualify with respective wins over Last Legend and Roxanne Perez. So Ruka and Izzy Dane, they both qualify with wins over Jasmine Nix and Wen Sinclair. A little sad for Win. Lola Vice, of course, qualified, beating the damn, I'm losing the name. I just had it. Shit. What's her? What? I can't think of it right now. My brain's fried. And then Thea Hill, of course, the one that could the fact the matter that she's using freaking Eddie Edwards' OTNA theme, which is all about "I am the fire, you can't hold me down." She's gonna have a Rudy moment at Stand Deliver. I don't care what anyone tells me. The fact that just happened just really makes me think about this connection as well. Lola Vice beat Tatum Paxley. That's it. Damn, I couldn't figure that for the life of me. Because you don't think about that type of match when it comes to Lola Vice. I'm just saying. And then, of course, as we saw, Thea Hill submitted Carmen Petrovic to win. I'm not going to lie. Before Thea Hill was in the picture, I still wanted to go with Soruga because I think there'll be some unique tag dynamics with her as champion. Because this dynamic of this flexible, agile, calm, fun, outgoing at the beach demeanor of Soruga, and then this wild, strong, bashing monster Zarya. It's a very unique dynamic here. And we've seen the two come together, share ice cream and, bottle smashing in a crash room. That's fucking awesome, by the way. I need to do one of those. I've really enjoyed the team of Zarya and Soruka, and I'm kind of glad to see them both in this match. But I do think there is going to be a tag dynamic fallout, to your point, that could cost them. Or maybe at one point, Zarya helps Soruka up on the shoulders. I don't know. Does it matter either one of them get the gold or the team gets the gold? That unique dynamic. As far as Izzy Dame and Thea Hill have a lot of bad blood, lest we forget. Last year at Stand Deliver, those two were more involved on opposite sides, JJ, of a 6-woman tag. And your girls' team won, by the way. And, of course, Izzy Dame, she was figuring herself out. I guess she found out now she's part of the calling. And while you said the calling's not involved here, who's to say they won't come to bat for Izzy Dame in some capacity? That also might be another thing to think about. But as soon as
Likewise, just to interject there, who's to say that these new Chase University prospects won't come to help out the admitted alumni of the university?
Who's to say
the last time we had a ladder match at Stand and Deliver, Dexter Loomis made his return, got under Indy, and helped her become champion.
Yep.
Who's to say we can't see something similar here?
Yep, exactly. And I was about to say, you keep talking about the Ghost Duke Hudson. Who's to say that somebody from her previous class, we've heard of class reunions, doesn't come here not just to celebrate prior to the fact, but literally help her out. Just saying.
You know who I'd like to see just as a cool shout out? That Bodie dude that used to be a member of Chase U before Duke kind of came and took over. The long blonde hair guy.
Brody, yeah.
Let him come out there just for the moment. Let it be Andre, Bodie, Duke, and Thea just for one night special moment. Let's fucking go.
He just wants the ultimate Chase U celebration, even if it's after the fact, the post-graduation.
You know how much I love this university, even though you will sit here and you will go on and on about it and try to run it down, discredited university. You talk about as badly about Chase U as you do about the lucha legend El Grande Americano.
They're not going there. I'm not going there with you today. I swear. I will be
Let's move on,
vindicated.
Noah.
I will be vindicated on Saturday. Okay, that being said, yes, my picks. Well, you both made very strong arguments with both your picks here. Again, like I said, I think Soruka has the aspirations and the potential to be a future singles champion. But if they keep going with this tag team of her and Zarya, I guess they become a tag champion for Soruka and Zarya become singles champions. Izzy Dame is the wild card to me with this newfound attitude and leash on life in the calling. And the fact that the calling right now really don't have anything going for them after Shawn Spears lost a title like that. Still, Shawn Michaels, what the fuck? It'd be interesting to see Izzy Dame and Thea Hill both revisit their history, considering Izzy and Thea are in a different place now. Thea completely on her own. Izzy Dame got a family. Lola Vice, though, again, Lola Vice, the fastest strikes possible. She gives me vibes with her attitude and style where they might treat her like Shayna Baszler, but Shayna Baszler actually was freaking champion. I don't know if they're willing to give Lola Vice that chance yet here in NXT, despite what she's been doing. So, ironically enough, I gotta go primary, gotta go with moment, and I gotta go with what I think is going to be the biggest pop, not just for JJ, but for Stand Deliver that night. I got Thea Hill as my primary. I do think Thea Hill has the most potential to become the champion here, and she will be the youngest champion, I believe, in NXT history at only 21 years of age, younger Nikita, of course, Knight. So I think Thea Hill, who's been part of NXT since its inception of these different identities, since the Black and Gold passed away, I think she finally deserves that moment and that chance. So I actually am going with Thea Hill as the primary, but as far as the secondary, part of me still feels like, based on how much he's been involved and how much they really looked at the tag dynamic, and it could be a lot of fun, interesting situations. Plus, we did see when Kalani and Soruka had a respectable one-on-one willingly. I can see Soruka doing that with her partner. I'm still holding out for my favorite. I'm going with Soruka as my secondary. She came that close last time, and I do think we're going to get an interesting moment out of her and Zarya. So I'm going with Thea and Soruka. And as far as the chat goes here in the poll, 22 people, the majority primary is your girl, JJ. Thea Hill at 36%. Runner-up is Zarya, actually, at 27%. And that's probably because she's the biggest imposing force and also has the great height advantage amongst the rest of the field. And the third runner-up is tied between both Soruka and Kalani Jordan, of course, who made this title what it is. As far as secondary, it pretty much is almost a four-way split between Thea Hill still at the most, Soruka at a very close third, and second is Zarya. So it looks like Thea, Zarya, and Ruka are the top three to think about across this field. So good luck to everybody, but I'll say it here, I'll say it right now. Thea Hill for the win. Good luck to all Chase U students and alumni. Good luck to you, JJ. Thea Hill deserves it the most. Get the Rudy moment, damn it, in Las Vegas. That'll be your jackpot. All right. Well, moving on from there, we got 2 matches left, and they both are for the championships. And I will go ahead and spearhead this while the women kind of headline at Wednesday as they should, damn it. It feels similar, but it still feels a little different. And considering what somebody here, or should I say both people here, have been talking about when it comes to a certain group, cause and effect, there might be more that comes to life from that in the main event. So here's the semi-main. Let's talk about the fatal four-way for the NXT Women's Championship. La Primera, Stephanie Valkyrie, who still, of course, holds the NXT Women's Championship after beating, there you see her back, beautiful Maz herself, Julia, back at Roadblock when it was title for title. And, of course, Julia was injured for a short term. And then she came back and headbutt the hell out of Stephanie Valkyrie. Damn. As far as the other two, good Lord Almighty. Jordan, Grace, Jada Parker, they went to war against each other, where, again, Stephanie would have the choice in who she would face. But nothing was truly figured out in that match after some miscommunication. Stephanie was caught in the cross line of fire. It ended up in a brawl, and next thing you know, Julia returned. She headbutted herself, and she has added herself to the equation. As Ava heard from Stephanie, she wants them all. We know Jordan Grace, former record-setting trailblazer, history maker, digital media champion, former TNA Knockouts world champion, Jada Parker, who's been letting them know as of late in NXT and at the Royal Rumble. Really has made a name for himself this particular year, especially after previously challenged Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship. Of course, Julia beat Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship and has been quite a presence here with her beautiful madness in NXT. While La Primera, the Dark Angel, she's definitely been one of the most, I would say, sought after attractions here in NXT, making history as she went home for a little bit in Chile to reflect. So now we see all 4 of these women stand and deliver. So does Jada finally get it? Does Jordynne Grace finally do it? Make mark history. Does Julia get it back? Or does La Primera continue her run solely as the NXT Women's Champion? Good boy. And again, folks, it's not elimination. First, pinfall submission to a finish, no disqualifications. I've been thinking about this for a while, and again, talk about moments, talk about people that deserve it. It's one of those things where the champion does not be involved in the decision. But I think there's a reason what happened at Roadblock got turned around so quick with Julia returning and coming back here. I do think this is going to stem further out with Stephanie Valkyria and Julia again one-on-one. Why Jada Parker and Jordynne Grace, I don't think that was resolved with them, so I do think there are 2 rivalries to come out of this. The only thing I'm unsure of at this point is which rivalry deserves to be over the NXT Women's Championship. And I think with how much stock they put into the juggernaut, I'm actually going out on a limb here, and I think Jordynne Grace is going to get it. I think they basically have done what they wanted to do with Stephanie Valkyria and Julia since coming in last year to NXT. We saw the buddies. Now we're seeing the enemies. Now we're seeing the tension. Both women have been champions, great champions. But I think there also could be a lot more animosity with them in a rivalry. Also, with the both being the Royal Rumble, I think there also could be a chance they could be drafted. With Jordynne Grace being the newest girl on the scene, no offense to Thea Hill returning, I think Jordynne Grace is the one to spearhead this women's division, starting with Jada Parker coming after her. So I got Jordynne Grace becoming the new NXT Women's Champion. That being said, let's go around the horn and get y'all's thoughts now. We'll start with Walter this time and conclude with JJ. Walter, who you got to lead with the NXT Women's Championship here in this Fatal 4-Way dance?
Well, first of all, let me say, hi, Miss Parker. Good. Miss Parker. Miss Parker. But anyway.
Are you gonna let me, Miss Parker?
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by fools.
Tell me you've seen Friday, Noah. Come on.
Of course I've seen Friday.
I was going to say, I know you're not a big movie guy, and you should not have seen it when you were once a wee lad. That's for goddamn sure. But
it was teenager years. It was just one of those random things. When I come home and I'm just seeing this, I'm like, okay, this is pretty funny. Chris Tucker's in it. Of course, I'm a fan of Rush Hour series.
I was 12 when that movie came out.
All right, back to reality. Let's focus here while you keep talking about Jada Parker. Subscribe. Go ahead, Walter. Talk about your winner for this match.
This is going to build into 2 rivalries. I know people think Julia went heel. I think that it's just the championship means that much to her, that it doesn't matter who got in her way. It's not heelish per se. It's just that it means and fair, because of her visa problems. Yeah, and the fact she got them resolved so quickly. If they knew that she would resolve it that quickly, I don't think she would have lost the title. They would have let her go away for a little bit to handle it and come right back. If they, in hindsight, if they actually knew that they were going to resolve it that damn quick. But the fact that Steph had to relinquish her title, her NXT title, to then do this, I don't think they're going to let her lose the title that fast. I do think Jordan's the next champion and everything, but I think Julia gets drafted before Steph, because if you keep doing this, like drafting them at the same time, signing them in the NXT at the same time and everything, they're not going to get from each other's shadow. So I think Julia gets signed to the main roster, gets drafted first. Stephanie stays in NXT for a little while, comes later, so that the spotlight is actually separated. Because then they'll be forever linked and forever under each other's shadow. And you got 2 big international stars. You got Italy and Japan and Julia alone. And then you got Latin America and Stephanie. You don't want to keep it that close. Let them separate so that you get more mileage out of it. I think Stephanie retains here, and then Julia is going to end up going on a main roster. But after a couple of more rematches, a one-on-one, or at least one rematch, I should say. But I really do think Steph retains here.
Okay, well, I mean, again, with Battleground, and technically speaking, I mean, yeah, they did go one-on-one already once at Roadblock, title for title. Now Julia is once again on the chase, and Stephanie holding the go after this. Battleground could be their last one-on-one encounter. It might give me the encounter I was looking for out of Corrigan Hall, because I'll be honest, Roadblock, yeah, gave me a great match, but it was not Corrigan Hall levels. But I do like the fact that it was more than a roll-up that led to the win. That being said, JJ, actually, Walter, he's heavily in the majority. He's got 82% along with him, saying Cinema Curb will retain, while literally tied together is Jordan Grace and Julia. Not a single vote for Jada Parker. So, JJ, where do you stand regarding the NXT Women's Championship? Again, Jordan Grace, she's been on WWE's radar for who knows how long, and now she's finally part of your brand, NXT. You were talking about for a little while how you thought Stephanie and Julia might be drafted this year. And, of course, Jada Parker, she's been a mainstay down here in your NXT, but she has yet to win the championship. And literally no one right now is buying into her winning the title. So what do you think about this four-way dance? Go ahead.
Don't say no one.
You're not. Don't you? You're not. Really?
I haven't said it yet, but let me say this. To your point, Jordan, Julia, and Stephanie are all way too good for NXT.
Yes.
We already have discussed ad nauseum when we talked about the tag title #1 contenders match and the ladder match, how there are so many women struggling to be featured on NXT.
And in fact, this show here has 10 of them on the show and 8 on the freaking kickoff, and that still isn't even the whole division.
Yeah. I still feel like all 3 of them are getting drafted. I was opposed to Julia winning the championship at New Year's Evil. I was opposed to Stephanie becoming North American champion. I was happy but opposed to Stephanie becoming double champion, because I still feel in my gut both of them were destined for the main roster come draft time. Because the women's division that is sorely lacking is the fucking main rosters.
Accurate! Continue.
And Walter mentions getting out of their shadows. One goes to Raw, one goes to SmackDown. That's how you separate them.
Right.
At least for the first year. Separate brands, separate title hunts, separate stories. Julia was not injured. Julia did not have visa issues. Julia wasn't getting over the way they wanted her to. So they put the belt on Stephanie, who had gotten insanely over, and reset Julia. That's what happened there, if internet rumors and reports are to be believed. That says a lot about Julia. If any of the 3 does need to still be in NXT for a little bit longer in an attempt to make the character what WWE proper wants, it's Julia. And I don't think any of us would have sat here 6 months ago and said that we thought that that was the case.
I know I wouldn't.
But Julia didn't get over the way that Stephanie did. And granted, when you've got a thick cake and a woman's head in between your thighs and you're pounding her head into the mat and the camera is shooting from the correct angle, you're going to get over really easy. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be sexist. I'm not trying to be degrading. I'm not trying to make Noah flip his top, but let's keep things 100. And then
especially
you've
when
got
Booker T's
on
reactions
commentary reacting to it. Exactly.
Like I said, man with half a brain.
That man with half a brain found and trained Roxanne Perez. So let's not undersell that brain, even if it is only half.
Fine, I'll give you that.
Also, Ren Sinclair. So, if my gut is correct and all 3 of these women are going to get moved, what does that leave? That only leaves Jada Parker,
who just challenged, if I remember correctly, Stephanie Valkyrie very recently for a title.
and put up a hell of a fight. She may have been unsuccessful, but she put up a hell of a fight. It almost makes you wonder if Steph was going to have to vacate the title anyway, why didn't they put the North American title onto Jada? Unless the plan was always to put the world title onto Jada. Again, I come back to the fact Stand and Deliver is about moments. And I know I've picked for just about every title to fucking change hands. And I know the odds of that happening are slim.
Yeah.
But again, we have 3 title matches and we're talking about WrestleMania moments. If there is any woman that has impressed me beyond what even Lash has done in this past calendar year, it's Jada Parker. And it is her time. I've got Miss Parker here.
Thank you. I've been putting what she's been selling.
Especially if you listened to her promo on Tuesday night. Dude, like, she has been so distanced from OTM that I forget the fact that that's how she even came into this shit. Because she has broken that far out, more so than even the Meta Girls. Because the Meta Girls are still using the old Metaphor music and entrance. Jada has her own music, her own style, her own swagger. She has distanced herself so far away from the way she came in. I'm just saying, it is something in my gut. And if I am wrong, Christopher, then I am wrong. But there is something in my gut that tells me that the future of the main event women's division in my NXT is going to be Jada, because the other 3 are coming up to the main roster sooner rather than later.
You're not wrong at all, Jada. How long have JJ, how long have I been singing Jada's praises? Like, she impressed me. I said it as soon as I saw her. I said, there's something about her. To the point you said Stephanie got over. Jada has gotten so over, she organically came face somehow. She's supposed to be this heel, and now she's got the entire arena going. Miss Parker, Miss Tour entrance with that little shoulder thrust she does. She organically became babyface, and they didn't do that on purpose. She just gotten so over.
And it's funny because I always flash back to, and it was either her first or her second match on television. I forget which one, but she won the match, ripped her extensions out and threw it on the mat. Like, I always think back to that and I'm like, how did that chick get so organically over with the crowd?
She stayed her own woman and refused to be what WWE maybe wanted from her at that time, even in this era where most women are allowed to be themselves. Kind of makes me think about Rhea Ripley's story with Stephanie's Places when you talked about how I had to be myself. I had to become Rhea Bloody Ripley. I couldn't be another blonde, happy-go-lucky girl. Spoiler, cover for a magazine, WWE molded machine creation, and here's mommy. And Jada Parker, she's becoming that bitch that she's meant to be, in her opinion, and it's working. Not bad for somebody that originally was going to be an all-star in volleyball. When that was taken away, she had a new lease on life, and professional wrestling become her thing, and she's owned it. Despite the fact she's lost out on big-time rivalries with Lola Vice, here's Lola Vice challenging in a ladder match for the secondary title. Here's Jada challenging for the world title. So Jada, that's a lot of a testament towards what you're saying and what Walter has been investing in. Go ahead, Walter.
Jada has made herself undeniable. You cannot ignore her anymore, and it's undeniable. And I promise you, if we had 2 picks, she was going to be my second pick.
What was your call last year when Cody did it? From undesirable to undeniable to undisputed.
Exactly those words.
He was undesirable to undeniable, and soon she will be undisputed as champion.
I'll tell you
Mark
this
my
much.
words.
Ooh. I'll tell you this much, JJ. If you legitimately are the only person that I wrote down your predictions that says Jada Parker, as I keep track of this form, and again, folks, your predictions comes final 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, so keep that in mind, man. You know now. If you're the only legitimate person across the entire NXT universe of predictions in this predictions league, I'm just calling you the winner for the entire night if you freaking get this freaking right, because that's major.
I'll take it. And to my point and to kind of Walter's point, and I apologize for stepping on you, Walter. I'll throw to you again in a second, but just look at how much promotion they've had Jada doing lately. I go back to the interview she did with O'Shea Jackson and TJ Jefferson on No Contest Wrestling. You think about that video package that she had on Tuesday night. There's a reason they're giving her all of this press, all of this momentum to try to lead into and build for these big matches. They see star in her.
Can't argue that. No lies detected. I can't argue that. I legit, I still did not think it was her time, but you really are making me come around to think that Jada Parker could be the woman to lead NXT. An NXT OG also as well, lest we forget. And
can we imagine if my other girl doesn't do it? Okay, let's just throw that to the side for a second, despite how sad I might be in that moment. But if the two women that are leading the charge coming out of Stand and Deliver aren't Julia and Stephanie like it was originally positioned to be, but are Jada and Lola,
I think Walter will
I will fucking die. I will die.
Walter will have a heart attack. But the point being is that you look at the struggle that these two women had to be taken seriously. It wasn't until Lola started beating some bitches' asses in Underground that she started to really get taken seriously. Accurate. It wasn't until Jada distanced herself from OTM that she really started to get taken seriously.
Accurate.
And now here they are in two of the biggest matches, the biggest weekend of the professional wrestling year, at least for WWE. I'm not going to undersell Slammiversary. I'm not going to undersell All In. But the biggest weekend in WWE year, both of them are in two of the biggest matches and could walk out the women that are leading the charge.
We'll find out soon enough. I mean, again, it's Las Vegas, and crazier shit has happened. 1 out of 100 chance somebody hits the jackpot and is a made person for life till they fuck themselves up. So, I mean, again,
Vegas is all about betting on the underdog and winning big. And if I am the only person betting on Jada, fuck me. Let's go.
I can only imagine what the betting odds are right now just off you saying that. So this is going to be very interesting to watch.
Let's not get for Jada. I'm damn sure room for Jada and Lola.
I know Walter is going to stay loyal to his people, and I wouldn't expect anything less from you. So good luck to all 4 of these incredible athletes, and good luck to all 6 incredible athletes in the 6-woman ladder match. Both these matches are definitely going to be probably on our top 20, Walter, being perfectly honest here. I think they're definitely going to steal the night. All right. Well, that being said, we've had a lot of fun, talk, discussion, some unique outlooks on this NXT. Figured about who will claim sweet, sweet victory. And I'm not talking about just the name of that song, The Winner Takes All. But that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. Walter, you will kick things off as we talk about and bring to light what might be, because of the WTF that might follow the second bell ringing. The main event. Let's talk about the NXT Championship as the ruler Obafemi defends his throne against Trick Williams, not Carmelo, despite Javon, no lies detected, a damn. And speaking of which, your boy, Bouncy Javon Evans. This should be quite interesting. Of course, Obafemi ascended to rule NXT at a triple threat at New Year's Evil. In triple threat action, hitting Trick Williams has been hell-bent ever since to get back at this title after the fallout with Eddie Thorpe, which is ironic because Eddie Thorpe, let's remember, he beat that man's ass at Vengeance Day, but apparently in Underground, Trick Williams whooped that trick. So now we have this situation. Of course, Jalen Evans, he literally lost his smile facing over the page and got it back and took a tooth in the process from his opponent back at Roadblock. And he's been proving a point ever since where you look at this year versus last year, might as well call Javon Trick Williams, but he's not that. He's Javon Evans, while Trick Williams might have become Camelo Hayes. Damn. And where's Camelo Hayes right now this WrestleMania weekend? Just saying. That being said, with Femi, again, literally pinned by people only on one hand. He's been unstoppable. He's literally tested himself already in multi-personality against A-Town Down Under, and now he finds himself once again in a triple threat. But also, all three of these men have been in the crosshairs of the newest faction on the NXT scene, running wild like renegades, no offense, Retribution in Dark State. With Dark State being in action here tonight, we know they are also not going to be too far behind watching this as well. But we also think about who they attacked, what they have seen, and also at one point, Javon Evans, last we saw him, he was obliterated by these three after the fallout in that six-man tag. So what happens here? Who's focused the most? Can we whoop that trick again like we did last year at Stand Deliver, or does the result remain the same when it comes to Obafemi, who's already beaten the likes of Moose from TNA? Walter, it is on you. Who leads with the NXT Championship? What the fuck happens here in a triple threat with no disqualification, with a man so hell-bent and a young OG looking for his first moment? Go ahead, and good luck.
The ingredients to which I have cooked before are all coming together and still there. I have called it about this hiding in plain sight for a while. You look at each clues for what Trick Williams has been doing, how he's talking, how he's reacting. The only thing that keeps him a face is Booker T's reaction and the crowd saying whoop that Trick into his music.
Yep.
I'm telling you now, Trick has been hiding in plain sight. He hasn't gotten attacked from this group until like 2 weeks ago. And it's because it's too obvious that if I keep going and I'm the only one not attacked, that I'm the leader of this group. Trick Williams is the leader of Dark State, and it's going to be revealed here. He is winning the championship. Why? Think about the 2 times he has lost the title. What kind of matches does he lose it? Every time he loses it, it's never a singles match. It's always a multi-man match. The irony here is that now he wins it in a multi-man match, triple threat. Oba is ready for the main roster. Trick isn't. Me and JJ keep talking about the little things Trick doesn't do right. We have both been trained to wrestle. We've seen this. We notice the little things. His character's there. His mic work is there. But sometimes some of his moves comes off a little sloppy. The person who needs to stay in NXT longer. I understand what DJ has said, and I understand what others said. If you're not ready at this time, it's a failed experiment. This is how you inject new blood into him, into his character, and then maybe by next year he'll be ready. You make him the leader of Dark State. You hit him in plain sight this whole time, and now he's the champion. The same could be said to Javon. Javon, everybody in this retribution, as he calls it, is young, up and coming, and nobody takes them serious. You know who fits that to a T? Javon. So they can make him the leader of this too. But I just really feel like it's Trick. And Trick pins Javon to win. That way Oba stays strong and he didn't actually lose the title. You call it all the time. Noah, you said there's a fall guy in every triple threat. The reason he's there, he or she is put into this match is just to be pinned. I feel like that's why Javon is in this. And then Trick Williams walks away from Stand and Deliver the new champion along as with being the leader of this group.
Wow, that was not what I was thinking at all initially about this match. But somebody coming to light as the person behind Dark State, I still think is very possible. All right, well, that being said, from one chef to another, it's time for JJ to stand deliver for the NXT Championship, and I'm going to let him speak before I talk about the polls. So, JJ, it's on you to give us the second course of thoughts and your prediction. Do you agree with what Walter just served up, or do you have a different aspect in mind?
I agree with about 98% of what Walter said. I agree about the leader hiding in plain sight. I agree about the leader being one of these 3 men. Until the D'Angelo family had the intel brought to Tony regarding Dark State, I was sold on it being Trick Williams. Then the intel came. And I believe it was Luca Crucifino talked about how one of the members of Dark State was a football player and knocked out the teeth of one of his opposition. And I thought about how Javon Evans had his jaw broken. And it talked about, I think it was Stax talked about how one of them likes to run around bragging, talking to anybody who will listen. I think about how Javon Evans has tried to get Trick to listen and has been shut down at every twist and turn. I think Javon is the leader of this group. I think Javon being revealed as the leader would be even more devastating if that's possible than Trick. Because Trick has been heel before when he was the heavy for Mello.
Yep.
Javon has not.
Nope.
And Javon, to Walter's point, fits the age range of these guys. I think Javon is the leader. I think Javon's been the one hiding in plain sight. I think Javon is the town crier who's been trying to rally the troops, but because he's so young, so eager, so bouncy, nobody's taken him seriously. Okay, you don't want to take me seriously? Fuck you, I'm taking over. Now you're going to take me seriously, motherfuckers. Oba will go to the main roster, to Walter's point. Trick will stay in NXT for at least another 6 months to try to lead Team NXT to battle Javon and the Dark State. Soonest we might see Trick on the main roster is around SummerSlam. But he's not going up at the draft because, to Walter's point, there's still little intricacies about him that are too sloppy that if you put him on the main roster, he's going to get talked to in the back and probably sent right back down to NXT to work on that shit. The biggest problem I see with Trick is in the comebacks, specifically when he's got someone in the corner and he's throwing those punches. They just look sloppy as hell. He's too eager to get to the finish that his punches look like shit.
Yep, I've noticed that during our calls verbatim.
And both me and Walter agreed that a heel turn for Trick, which is why him being the leader would be perfect, forces you to slow down, as heels tend to work a more slow, methodical, deliberate pace. So Trick wouldn't have to be so, pedal to the metal, race car on the Indy 500. He'd be able to move a little bit slower. And that might help him with his punches. But what really fucked Trick as the leader for me was that segment they did with the D'Angelo family and the intel. Because a lot of the shit that was presented led me to think that it's actually Javon.
Mm-hmm.
Javon Evans is your new NXT champion.
Well then, one Javon,
Bro.
one Trick. Okay, well first off, 18.2% said Trick Williams.
Of course.
13.6% said Javon Evans. A 68% whopping total said Obafemi will retain. And guess where I stand? Why, there's 3 men here. Despite the fact I think something comes light about Dark State, I don't think Dark State takes over NXT yet. I got Obafemi retaining. I do think, though, that you hit the nail on the head when it came to those notes from the intel like I just read as well. Every time Javon wanted to speak, he was undermined. The boy got his teeth knocked out. He's showing the aggressive side. Trick Williams, he's been that guy that the NXT universe rides along because of his theme. But when it comes to the chase, it seems like more people are along with him on the chase than they are when he is the holder. And I don't think Trick Williams needs to hold the NXT championship again, unless he finds a worthwhile way against the right type of opponent. If they could build a dynamic with Javon and Trick one-on-one to figure out maybe championship contention down the line, maybe I could buy into Trick Williams once again becoming champion. But Trick Williams is already a guy in NXT. Trick's not. Or excuse me, Javon's not. He's bouncy. So how does Javon become a force to be reckoned with? He gets his own damn army. I think afterwards, Oba Femi, who might I add, pin Trick Williams already in that trophy for New Year's Eve would become champion. I don't think the same thing happens here. I think he pins Javon Evans, and that will be what literally breaks Javon Evans' proverbial will to the final point that he's going to be like, all right, I've had enough of this shit. Lights go out, and everyone's taken out. Javon stands tall, and whether or not he walks away, still holds on to the championship as a statement that I'm going to get this shit. You know, Javon's now the force to be reckoned with. But either way, I got Oba Femi retaining the NXT championship, but I got a lot of Trick and Javon intercourse happening during this triple threat where there is no disqualification. I think Trick goes as far to use a steel chair against Javon Evans too at this point, where he might try to rearrange his jaw. But I have the ruler, once again, given the result be the same, but not the aftermath. But I got Oba Femi retaining.
And I disagree with you to a slight extent. I don't think there's going to be a lot of Trick Javon intercourse. I think Oba and Trick are going to treat Javon the way Bianca and Rhea have treated Io.
I like that. I can see that.
They're going to keep swatting him out of the way, which is why the reveal is going to help Javon win, because to your point, there's no disqualification in a triple threat.
Right.
The lights can go out. Both men can get laid out. Javon pins Trick, keeping Oba strong, and becomes champion.
Yeah, either way, I don't see Oba Femi being involved in the decision on the losing side of someone else's fall. He's either going to be winning that title, or Trick or Javon, introspectively, is going to be the one to end it all. But at the end of the day, I just think that the ruler still rules your NXT for a little longer, considering how Darkseid might have a leader heading into Battleground, where war for NXT might come forward as we know it under a different means. I just think Oba Femi still holds his throne for now. But still, I love the fact this main event had each one of us picking a different individual. Unlike, I think, pretty much the only thing outside Saturday night's main event, that didn't happen for WrestleMania. So this is extremely interesting. So again, folks, what do you think comes to light? Do you think you find out Dark State's leader? Did we just mention Dark State's leader? Is it somebody else that we didn't talk about? Does somebody else make history? Do you think Thea Hale has a bigger moment than Rudy? Let us know in the comments down below or in the chat as we bring this to a close. Just a few opinions real quick. Can't wait. Javon Evans revealed to be the leader of Dark State. I will pray for Walter because of the Women's North American Championship ladder match. Nah, I wonder who said that. NXT has been wonderful lately, and Stand Deliver is going to rule. Simply put. And again, folks, your predictions and opinions matter too. Get them in. You still have 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The form will be, of course, in the description down below and also in the comments of each of these streams as well. But thank you all for tuning in to Sleep Addicting, Stand Deliver. Let's go ahead and do some plugs and get some rest. Walter, I'm glad you were able to join the festivities. Hope your back's in good order. And I look very forward to listening, keyword listening, to your and JJ's call while I watch Stand Deliver. So go ahead and promote Jada Parker and where they can find you.
At the Rage of Wrestling YouTube channel, the bread and butter. The X at Walter Alex Cruz, and Instagram at walter.cruz.940. You know what's interesting? I know we're doing plugs, but I kind of wish they didn't tease Malachi / Aleister Black, because can you imagine if he wasn't teased on SmackDown? If this whole time Dark State has been doing this and Aleister Black has been the leader behind this horse, like, he fits that too. And now they got a veteran as a leader, like, and he goes back to NXT, like, where Aleister Black was Aleister Black. Like, man, dude, you talk about swerves.
That dude would make me come on screen afterwards and go, what the fuck, in Dark.
Yeah, if they would have done that, like, oh my God, I would lose my shit. But I feel like he's going to SmackDown, be with his wifey. But
makes sense. Stronger couples together, but yeah, subscribe. Good Lord, Walter, look, you're graphic. And in fact, you might have to change that if Jada Parker leaves with the NXT Championship.
With the title. We're going to have to add that.
As long as she takes one of those Shawn Michaels photos with the championship.
Let's not try and give Walter a heart attack with
You need a double. You need 2 titles to do it.
Oh, my gosh.
For a female, you need 2 titles.
Hey, Walter, love you, brother. All right. We'll get some rest, man, and look forward to our next call and seeing you later on, of course, for Bloodsport. That, of course, you'll be calling that tonight. JJ, again, this week, it's going to be nothing fun. It already has been. There's a lot to look forward to. I think NXT is truly going to live up to the bill of its name, as I know it only can, even in the black and chrome. But go ahead and tell other people can find you. And good Lord, man, you're graphic.
You can find me on Instagram, the Renegade JJ Williams, YouTube, the Bread and Butter Casa D18 Studios. Thank you to everyone that is subscribed. Tell your friends, like, subscribe the videos, share the videos. We've got so much content in store this week. On X, ROWJJ Williams and Casa D18 Studio. No S at the end of studios on the X, singular, not plural. That's where you'll find me participating in the spaces. And then again, if you can throw, there we go, the spaces schedule. I was going to say the watch alongs we've got this week. I wasn't going to plug the spaces since there's no space today.
That's fair.
There's no space for James on Saturday. So, I figured just throw the other one up. This is everything we've done and will be doing.
God.
To Noah's point, got Prestige Wrestling tonight. TNA Unbreakable and the Countdown to Unbreakable. Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 13. Tomorrow we got Potter Mania. We got Stardom, American Dream in Neon City. Joey Janela Spring Break 9. WWE SmackDown in the Hall of Fame. Saturday Stand and Deliver. WrestleMania Night 1 and the GCW Clusterfuck. And then Night 2 of WrestleMania Sunday. Raw after Mania. NXT after Mania. And a partridge in a pear tree.
As we rest.
What is rest? What is this rest thing that you speak of,
it's
Noah?
not sleep, but it's like...
And we've got shenanigans thrown in all that.
Oh, yeah,
and are we going to be running this back in 30 minutes, predicting Unbreakable, or did you decide not to? I mean, we're done early enough where we could still get it in if you want.
And Jada clapping ass cheeks. Oh, sorry.
Damn it, Walter, you freaking idiot! Because a TV special, honestly, versus like a main like PLE level special or a plus special or pay-per-view, I decided let's just enjoy the show as it is and hype up Rebellion. So, no Cindy predicting for Unbreakable. Cindy predicting will be back next week, though, for Rebellion, where somebody might finally be able to call himself the king, unless you still believe in Joe Hendry. I said his name.
The second time we've said it.
Yeah. He appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Joe Hendry,
you believe?
Do you believe? Damn it! I'd love to freaking out. We're just gonna go straight into it. So yeah, folks, again, thank you, JJ, and thank you all again for tuning in and continuing to watch along again. We crazy, we nothing futs, and I fucking love it. I love what has become here, and I love what everyone else has become since I've started doing this too. I'm so proud of everybody here, and again, BattyForWrestling, welcome to the family. So proud of her as well. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned again. Like we said, there's going to be the countdown to Unbreakable with these two gentlemen. Then, of course, I'll be calling Unbreakable and making history as we crown the first ever TNA International Champion. Santino Morales, you son of my gun. And then, of course,
Austin.
Accurate. I saw Austin for the win. And then, of course, you will see Walter providing commentary for his bread and butter in what truly is a forbidden door, Bloodsport. Before we conclude tonight's festivities, and then we'll continue on with Friday, as we talked about. First up, of course, with Potter Mania. And Walter, you're finally going into Stardom with me at 3 p.m. Standard Time with American Dream 2025 in Neon City, which I looked at the card, looks pretty damn good. Some good hype up ahead of Stardom's big super card of the spring season on pay-per-view on their Japanese service, which, of course, I'll have to watch later. Damn it. Dream Kingdom, where someone's career is going to end altogether, too. And again, there's so much more coming up. You want to engage with me, you know how to find me in Foster 1916, for I am nothing more but a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it! who only wants to encourage, remind you there are no winners, no losers, no betters, just fans of opinions with this passion we all share. At the end of the day, folks, support one another, respect each other, protect your mentality too, treasure your families, and this week, especially more than any other week of the year, just enjoy live and enjoy professional wrestling. It is truly as simple as that. Damn it.
And if you can't find something to enjoy, get the fuck out the fandom.
Just swipe left.
Capital F-U-C-K on that. With that being said, again, thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe, comment, tell a friend. Hit the bell so it goes live on demand on any of the channels here at the Super Reliable Studios. Subscribe, especially bad for us to do as a member of the family. Let's get our subscription count up again. That's BattyForWrestling, our Canadian friend, Ash. So please subscribe to her channel today for future watch-alongs and content, especially regarding New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW, along with some other stuff too. Again, my simple agenda, Lord, I'm crazy. It's not letting up. I got a whole lot of stuff ahead, so we'll see you all later. And again, subscribe. So that being said, I think that's it for now. I'm going to go enjoy some dinner and bid you all a fine farewell. We will see you later tonight with these two for the Countdown Unbreakable, and I'll see you guys 10 p.m. Standard Time for Unbreakable. But with that being said, as always, make a positive impact in life. Thanks for tuning in to the Predicting Stand and Deliver, and as it's the middle of the day here in the States, I know on the other side of the world what time it is. So to those people especially, have a good night. We'll see you all later for TNA as this week continues till we stand and deliver on Saturday and beyond. Have a good one, folks.